Father Andrew, it seems every few years or so there is this renewed interest in the Shroud of Turin, and of course a renewed debate, but it always addresses the same issue, its authenticity. So I ask you, in your research and with your expertise, has there been any new research or findings that can either refute or support that this is the authentic burial cloth of Christ?
Well, you're absolutely right, Liz. It's true every year, especially around Easter time, you'll find that headlines are virtually the same year after year. Is the shroud a fake? Is it a forgery? Or is it the real deal? Not a whole lot of new scientific information has surfaced since really 1978, the major project, the Shroud of Turin research project, and then in 1988 when they did some carbon dating. And since then, we've just been revisiting kind of the same experiments and publishing on that.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, if you want to see those, the literature is, it goes on forever. It's a universe on shroud.com. You can just see the tip of the iceberg. But I was just recently invited to Turin with a team of scientists, and I was just there in the crowds, and they had paleontologists, physicists, light experts, and these are people who have gained a name for themselves in their particular area of expertise. Mm-hmm. And it is absolutely astounding. We have some 99, I would say, areas that point towards authenticity. There's only one test that points in the other direction, and that's the 1988 radiocarbon dating.
Oh, I love that the odds are certainly in favor of its authenticity. And you just mentioned that you have been there most recently. And of course, you do know that Pope Francis is planning to make a papal trip there as well. Father Andrew, how important is it that he will be there to venerate the cloth?
Well, as much as publicity we can get from those kind of tabloid articles on the grocery line that you'll see, it's great when the Holy Father himself can go. This happens only every few years. It used to be every 100 years, then 50, then 25. It's only been 5 years since our last papal visit. Mm-hmm. And this Holy Father had a television display, and that brings the world's eye to the shroud. And it's so important because when you're talking about the shroud, you're talking about the central mysteries of the Christian faith. Christ's incarnation, that he took human flesh and died in that flesh, mm-hmm. and that he rose from the dead. So there's no greater subject of discussion and contemplation. That the Holy Father be present just brings the world's eye to the shroud, the burial shroud of Jesus, I would say. But I'm glad you asked it too, because it's not just the question of authenticity. We have an obsession, it seems, on that subject. It's also, what does it mean? And this is what the Holy Father brings out. It's not, regardless of whether it's the authentic burial shroud or not, we're all focused on Christ's passion.
And it's not just the fact that he's coming there to venerate, and it's not just that he's renewed this passion, but of course his latest act of papal charity to pay for busloads of homeless to come and to see the shroud. Does that add it adds to the passion, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. And I think he really knows what the best thing he has to give is. When we look to the Passion, and you can see the very words that are written on that cloth, that the cover that contains it throughout the year, is we venerate your Passion, we venerate your shroud, because the Holy Father, much like Peter in the Acts of the Apostles, who comes to those who are needy and says, I give you not silver and gold, but what I do have, I give you. Rise in the name of Jesus Christ. There's a mystery here, the mystery of Christ's death and resurrection, and that is healing for people at the deepest levels. And I think he wants to share this gift with us. Also, for all of us pilgrims, we may not be poor, but we go to Turin, we venerate the shroud, and we realize that there is no holiness without veneration of Christ's passion. And those are words from John Paul II. So this is what we need to grow.
I have one final question very quickly, Father. The Church respects the autonomy of the scientific community, but there are details that simply couldn't have been forged centuries ago. Those were your words. Very quickly, explain what you meant.
I don't think that there's anything that suggests that this is a forgery. On the contrary, I think that the overwhelming majority of the evidence points towards authenticity. I'll just give you a little bit of examples. We know, for example, that the blood stains, the blood is human blood, it's male blood, its blood type is AB. There are over 360 scourge marks. There's a crown of thorns with 50 perhaps puncture wounds. Who else could it be? Who else ever wore a crown of thorns? There's but one candidate.
Yes.
Who else has this unique combination of tortures? All in all, it's just you need more faith to believe that it's not the burial shroud of Jesus than that it is, which is precisely why my teacher, who travels the world speaking on authenticity, is a Jew to this day.
Sure.
So Jewish scientists, along with many others, know that it's authentic, and I'm glad the world is focused so they can see for themselves.
Thank you so much, Father Andrew. I really appreciate talking with you, appreciate your passion. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for inviting me, Liz. God bless you.
God bless.